Yeah, Mick, I was just thinking, just a couple of pointers really. You're from your own personal experience with your covert operations that you've done, where if you could correct me if I'm wrong, I think you've actually staked out farms for real. So you've kind of been in the criminals' shoes, for want of a better word, although you're on the good side, obviously. Um, what and I know you've looked at farms and like rural buildings and all that kind of stuff, like with deep undercover, for days and days at an end. What, from your experience of being the guy looking at those places, then what will the criminals be doing? How will they stake out a farm? If I was a landowner or I've got a nice farm in the countryside there, what will they do? How will they check me out and then look for my weaknesses, I guess?
Yeah, I think what helps is having that military background that we had. When you're spending weeks at a time, doing recce's. Bearing in mind that everything we do was covert, so you couldn't be seen to be doing anything. But it really does give you a flavour, I suppose, of how criminals are actually going to be able to carry out their business. And a bit like us, we used to do our intelligence on a farm or a terrorist by reading up, and getting as much information, going to different organisations, asking the police, all that sort of stuff. Criminals won't do that, but they'll do it a bit more subtly. They will do their homework, reading through rural magazines, especially for wealthy clients, and what they're up to and what they're doing. They'll go and join online WhatsApp groups, or the rural crime groups, to ascertain intelligence. And we always say, never assume that you're actually online to people with good intent, because there's bad people actually join these groups specifically to find out what's going on and stuff like that. Generally, criminal gangs, especially professional gangs, and I put traveller groups into this sort of sphere of operation, really. They'll normally do their recce's during the day, purely because it's a lot easier. They see the lay of the land. They'll do drive pasts, or they'll accidentally drive into a courtyard, as if they're lost, or ask for directions and stuff like that. Or walking dogs. All of a sudden you find people walking on your land, walking a dog, suspicious activity, but they're out riding a motorbike, stuff like that. That's how they get the lay of the land, and how to approach a farm. More importantly, how to get away from it. So there's a lot goes through a criminal mindset before they actually do a proper attack on a thing. And what they're after is easy pickings. Report findings on numerous farms in the area. What the staff get up to. What are their timings? What time do they go away at night? What time do the barns get locked? Do the barns get locked?
Yeah.
Where are the animals? What do they do? Are there any dogs? Lighting, stuff like that. So there's a lot of intelligence that needs to be gleaned before you can actually go on target. And night operations. So 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning is generally what we would class as the perfect timing for professional gangs. And they know that rural crime units don't operate at that time of night. It's generally very quiet. Police patrols, non-existent, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's balaclavas fitted. Number plates are changed before entering their area, and that's why they're not overly concerned with CCTV. Trailers are fitted on the back of the vehicles. If they intend going in there to pick specific items, like all-terrain vehicles or quads, they'll come on site with a trailer. Yeah. And also, gangs have been known to hide whatever they've stolen fairly locally. And the reason being is they are a bit concerned about tracking devices that have been fitted. So what they'll do is they'll stash the equipment to somewhere where they've been wrecked beforehand, so that they feel comfy. Then they'll go back a couple of days later, and if the equipment's still there, they'll obviously bring up more or better trailers, bigger trailers to actually load the kit out of there. If that makes sense. So yeah,
Yes, yeah.
pretty complex subject, really.
Got it. So it I'm listening very carefully. These aren't fly-by-nights, are they? These are organized gangs, and during the last few weeks,
Yeah, they are.
yeah, I've been doing a bit of research and you mentioned something that's really struck a chord with me there, where people could maybe be a bit more savvy, because what I've noticed since we've started this little journey, I've been watching big landowners, those with social media presence and big farm. I won't obviously name any, but there's some key ones. They attend all the agricultural shows. They've got high profile. That their people are well known. Some of them are celebrities. Some of them have their own television shows. And I was looking at them recently from a different viewpoint. Okay, what if I was a criminal, and the information I could glean about what equipment they've got, where they go, of course, if them and their team are at such and such a show in Warwickshire, who's watching the farm down in Oxfordshire? And all this information that's fully out there, it was that they willingly give away and show photos of all of the kit that they get stolen. I think if I can mention it, I'll come back to CCTV, Mick. I've got a question on that, but one thing that we noticed the other day, and we had, you commented on my post there as well. Thanks for that. The people who sadly had their trailer stolen, and the key problem I saw there was not only was the trailer unsecured, it wasn't wheel clamped, and all the rest of it. It wasn't parked in a particularly safe location. It was full of their Christmas stock that they were then so they got a double whammy. They got their trailer nicked. It was an easy getaway, and they lost all of their sort of livelihood for the Christmas period. So again, it just goes to show people have they got to be thinking, haven't they? Like, what are these people looking for, and how are they staking me out? Can I come back to the CCTV point, because it's really interesting, because I've been looking at a couple of articles online recently from fairly well-known insurance brokers in the UK who are pushing the message quite strongly, whether there's a kickback, and in fact, I'm pretty sure there will be. They're pushing the message really strongly. CCTV, motion detectors, all these high-tech gadgets. Now, you've just mentioned there something that counters that. CCTV and all these gadgets, they have a place to play, but they're not the be-all and end-all. Would I be right in saying that it's more than just having a camera stuck on the side of your barn?
Yeah, I must admit, when it comes to electronic security systems, obviously the go-to product that everyone thinks about is the alarms and CCTVs and stuff like that. But if you install CCTV, you'll have the evidence to investigate and prosecute the event of a yard theft. Right, wrong, actually, because the likelihood is that those obviously with criminal intent to thieve from your yard will do so at night. The car will have its number plates covered. They'll be wearing indistinctive dark clothing, mask, hat, gloves. So what have you recorded? And literally, you'll have recorded, dark figures, moving about. And to be quite frank, nowadays you don't even get the police officer coming to attend. They'll just instantly now. These people, the police will just give out a crime number for the insurance purposes. So you won't actually catch the thieves at all, if that makes sense. And it's the same as alarm systems. It will provide deterrent to anyone committing theft to improve your site security, right? Again, not necessarily. An alarm is great if there's someone to hear it. But if your site, and bear in mind that a lot of the farms are out in the middle of nowhere in the countryside, so hearing a noise, we see it in the cities here. you know, an alarm goes off, people will have a quick look outside, and then they'll totally ignore it.
Yeah.
So thieves know that. So, you know, electronic gadgets and stuff like that is only as good as the response. So stuff like that. So, is it worth installing CCTV and alarms? Well, yeah, it is, but only the right ones that are effective and prove proper site security.
Yeah.
If you do install CCTV, it's got to be monitored. You can't just not monitor it, you know, because otherwise you're just wasting your money. And that means that if CCTV triggers a movement within a yard, cameras will automatically appear on the screen of a monitoring station. So you can actually get these fitted onto your mobile phone,
Yeah.
you know, and an alarm goes off. And you can also link it into the police. You know, there's also organisations out there, security organisations that are actually doing the police's job for them, and they provide response, really. So what they'll do is they'll get clients by saying, listen, you pay us so much a month, and we'll make sure that if you press the button, or if you're concerned in any way, we'll come and check everything out. And they, you know, they drive proper police spec vehicles and stuff like that. And basically it's just a security company doing really what the police should be doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so be very careful when somebody says yes, especially these big security companies, you know, because they like to sell expensive gadgets, because there's a good chance that they're probably going to be making a bit of money off it. But like I say, if there's no response at the end of it, you're wasting your money.
Yeah, you're wasting your time. And I think what I guess the message really needs to be, yeah, there's CCTV, it's great, it's good for crime after the fact, as you say, but people, as long as you're on the mindset that it's part of the solution, it's not the solution, because who wants to look at criminals on a screen who've just nicked your Land Rover Defender or your tractor or your GPS or half of your cattle herd? There is a place for it, minor deterrent, and that interestingly is borne out. So I'm not knocking the people trying to sell their products, their CCTV and their intruder detector systems. That's fine, but the messaging ought to be stronger, that, and this is part of a solution that you need to implement in your farm or landed estate or premises, because it can and does, I know for a fact it does, give a false sense of security. That kind of leads on really nicely. And in fact, before we move on, there's something that's probably worth chucking in there, that during our discussions with leading experts in the rural crime research field, and I'm talking in particular Kate Tudor from Northumbria University, and I'm also talking about Carl Mulrooney from New South Wales in Australia University, leaders in the field, key people who have extensively researched this topic and published widely, and all of their publications will be linked in our training course for those who are watching this. The full article it's public information, but we'll bring it together so people can access it from one place. In their research, they've interviewed the criminals, so those that have been caught, they've actually interviewed them. And one of the direct questions was actually about CCTV. What deterrent effect did it have? Does it bother you? And it's exactly what you've just said. They really don't care about CCTV because they can change, as you quite rightly point out there, Mick, you can disguise your vehicle number plate, you can put on a balaclava, put your hoodie up, whatever it might be, a pair of dark glasses or a mask, and in you go. And they know you've been there, but they have no idea who you are. But it does lead on nicely to my next question, Mick, if I can. And it's to do with your face-to-face training. So if we're saying that CCTV and detectors and all that are part of the solution, I agree that the bigger part of the solution is a well-trained and alert and vigilant workforce, people on the ground, boots on the ground, as it were. So I know in this year, 2023, you've done various face-to-face training sessions. So without giving the game away as to what people get, don't give the course away yourself. That's your business. But what do people take away from those face-to-face learning sessions, Mick? what key snippets do they get?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you hit the nail on the head there, Richard, which is, electronic security measures are only part of the whole package, if that makes sense. And you're only as good as the people operating the equipment. Security is only as good as the person shutting the gate, locking the door, turning the lights off, this, that, and the other. And this is where the emphasis really is on the training for individuals. So the last sort of training that we just did for a company over in Cambridgeshire was the security first responder training for safety people, safety and risk people. So personnel that have no security background whatsoever. Now, I've I've got a master's degree in security management, so that's my main core. But I've also got a diploma in safety, and I'm not a safety person at all. But I did it just to understand where safety comes in into security operations, especially some of the stuff that we used to do offshore. It was important. Now a lot of the farm industry don't employ specific security professionals, but they will employ a lot of safety people. So it makes sense for us to utilize the safety people in a security role. So we rolled out a 1 day course. It was initially 2 hours. It then went on to 3 hours, and the feedback was, Mick, can we do a whole day? And the reason being is, there's quite a few little exercises that we can get people through, and I understand that theory purely because it's, when you're a non-security person, it's a bit like grabbing a safety guy or a security guy and saying, listen, I'm going to teach you about safety, and trying to do that in 2 hours, impossible. But if you've got a full day to do it, it just gives them an indication. So the way we ran it, really, it was just to give you an idea. It was why rural crime was increasing. So trying to get the individual to start thinking about security, understanding what the basic rural security is all about. So they had that in their head. Security risks in the criminal mindset, how criminals operate, because that's vital, really, in defeating criminality. We then gave them some simple solutions of how to deter criminality, and probably the most important aspect of the course was how to respond to a security incident, if that makes sense. And really, it's all about helping the organisation, the farm managers, by having people that can help from a security side of it, because we do understand, really, that safety is priority over security within the rural industry. So why not use the safety people in a small capacity of security? So we rolled that out, and like I say, the feedback was fantastic because they wanted more of it. So we've now extended it to a full day's training. When we first started, we went down there, really, to Cambridgeshire to do a 3-hour farm security course, which also involved rural situation awareness training. And bearing in mind that this was to 110 farm managers, MDs, all that, so quite high powered. And at the very end of it, the MD stood up and went, flipping hell, we actually thought we were quite secure. and out of that, because what the idea is just to get people thinking about the vulnerability of their farms, because we are very complacent the way we go about our business, especially in the farm industry. You alluded to it when you did that video, when you walked on that farm. Farmers are their own worst enemy, unfortunately. And sometimes, farmers need that grizzly old git like me that walks up and states the bleeding obvious.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So to be honest, this training aspect is vital, really, to getting everybody on board. But it's not only the farm managers, the farmer, it's all the workforce.
Yeah.
It's the families. It's getting everybody on board to improve that rural security culture, which is sadly missing, unfortunately. And without improving a security culture within the farm industry, we're not going to improve security at all. And that's why training is really important.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Absolutely, 100%. And I think, you know, as we move into 24, then we're going to be able to offer people, I think, some real valuable help, some hands-on practical advice and assistance and training resource. And it's a bit of a combination of everything. But I think what the key point I've just taken, Mick, from what you've just said there, is people, if they engage with the training of the workforce, it's like having 10, 20, 30 little live CCTV people walking around your farm, switched on, trained, alert, vigilant, you know, knowing what to look for, having listened to your real life experiences, you know, what to look for, what the criminals are doing, what's suspicious. But then again, the point you've mentioned, what do you do about it? Don't just notice things, do something, report it. Let's take action. And that, I think that's really, really important. And the main message I think to send to people is, look, stand back, look at your security. Farmers, you know, I've worked with farmers for many, many years on the safety and the risk side. And I still to this day, I often get the response. If I start to talk to people about safety and risk and danger, often the response is, but I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm all right. That's you can't argue against that. But tomorrow you might not be all right. Tomorrow you might have a dead worker or an injured. And sadly, within this rural community, it's close families working together. It might be my boy or my wife, or, you know, a close family member, and that those tragedies all too often involve close family members, and that will be the same with rural crime. It's affecting your family. You know, we've got to look after the community, but my family's at risk here. I think to bring it to a close, Mick, I've just got one quick question. It's just sort of to round it off. This, I think, from this particular video, people will go, yeah, that's some great takeaways there. In a very short space of time, we've got some really great information. So I was just wondering if we could, you know, to bring this to a close here, we've established that the gangs are well organized. They're probably well funded. They'll have good communications. They're switched on people. These aren't stupid. These are switched on cookies making millions and millions of pounds every year. It's big, big business. I wonder if we could round off with maybe just a couple of bullet points, 2 or 3 bullet points, that if I'm the landowner, I'm the farmer, give me 3 or 4 bullet points for me to do before the new year that makes me less vulnerable.
Yeah, one is change your security mindset. Get your security culture right. You know, the farmers themselves, they know their land better than anybody. But what they can't identify are the red flags that come up. You know, a guy driving on site that says he's lost. Can you point me in the right direction? Now that is an instant red flag. But unfortunately, if you don't have a security mindset or a security culture, you'll miss that, and it's really obvious. But it's not only the farmer; it's everybody that works. You know, like I say, as we keep harping on about, the weakest link really is the person that doesn't lock the gate at night. So everybody needs to have a security culture. The next one is access control, really, of your property. You make sure that you know who's actually coming on site, if that makes sense, and that includes people that shouldn't be there. You know, people that drive in there accidentally because they think they're lost. Again, red flag. But the amount of times that people can walk in on a farm and nobody's checked. You know, I've done it. I've walked onto farms in Norfolk and asked for directions and asked for that, and I've never ever been challenged. And that really needs to be. Access control is vital, really, for controlling access to people's farms. Obviously, be more vigilant. Try and be, you know, open your eyes a bit more. And this all comes through with a rural situation awareness, rather than, just looking what's in front of you. Actually look at your field, look at your animals, see where they're moving. Are they doing something slightly different today? Are they moving around an area where they don't normally move, i.e. are they being pushed that way? So be a bit more vigilant. The next one really is check everything. If you're going to be leaving anywhere, make sure everything's locked. Treat everything as if it's your personal item. So if you're parking your tractor up, you make sure that you've got it locked. If you've got navigation equipment on top and you're going to be leaving it in the field, take it with you. Take it off. Because there are bad people out there that are noticing exactly how you operate, and if they see any weakness in it, they'll be on you.
Yeah.
And then finally, out of sight, out of mind. If people can't see what you have, they can't steal it. And we do this when we teach the gunmen in a building. If they can't see you, they can't shoot you. It's a bit like your equipment. If you've got a quad. Small equipment that are highly valuable really to criminals. If they don't know it's there, they obviously can't steal it. So if it's out of sight, out of mind, and this includes your fuel, stuff like that, out of sight, out of mind, peace of mind, if that makes sense.
Well, it's interesting then. So to close this little session off, isn't it great to hear then all of those things that you've just said that will make a massive difference could be the difference between being a victim of crime, having your livelihood ruined, having all your kit nicked, having your family traumatized because someone's been rummaging around in your barn or indeed in your house and your property while you're away. That's traumatic, and that's gonna have real deep impacts. But the beauty of what we've just been talking about is it ain't rocket science. It's really straightforward, isn't it? There's no massive investment. You ain't got to spend fortune on. Yes, you can have your CCTVs and all that, but what we were saying is they're just a small part to play. The real magic occurs by training your people and just taking basic common sense, locking stuff away, being alert, being vigilant, and that could be the difference between being a victim or not being a victim. So I really appreciate those inputs, Mick. That's been really, really fascinating, and I know people will get a great deal from that. Thank you very much indeed.